Jill.
Jill.
Tyler. Ryan.
Mariana. And I'm Emma.
Okay, so nowadays we don't really read much. We love to be on social media and everything, but back when not even a radio was invented, there used to be certain poems that the family would read to the children. People like Brahms, Holmes, Longfellow, and Whittier. They were called fireside poets. Now that's not all of them, but that's just a short few. And well, with youth and with how the journey goes, with any of them, it always starts from the youth. And Whittier, he seems to have brought out a strong talent, you could say. A strong talent for writing. An excerpt from his first poem that got strong publicity, The Exile's Departure, he has fond scenes, which delighted my youthful existence, which feeling of sorrow I bid ye adieu. I believe that's a strong opening that is supposed to just clutch onto those who listen. Whittier started out from a Quaker family, and from there I believe he grew into one of the greatest fireside poets there were. And it's not just because of him starting from the lowest. I believe with all the trials and tribulations he went through, Whittier became the best. So as I said before, he grew up in a Quaker family. He was born on December 12th, 1807, and because he was part of a Quaker family, he didn't have really any formal schooling. Unlike Longfellow, who went to Harvard and graduated, he even was a professor at a college. The only type of formal schooling Whittier ever had was at the Haverhill Academy, which he only attended from 1927 to 1928, a year. And just the year before that, he wrote The Exile's Departure, which I read an excerpt from that, the first few stanzas. Lines, not stanzas, my bad. During his time at the academy, he paid his way there by working at newspapers and magazines and working as a teacher. Now, that does say a lot, how he was trusted to edit papers, magazines, and to teach. This man had little formal schooling, yet he was allowed to teach. That does say a lot. And from Haverhill, he went on to go to other newspapers. These more abolitionist. Unlike all the other poets who, they did go with civil rights, they did try to bring out anti-slavery, but they were all poets first. Whittier, on the other hand, did poetry basically as on the side. He worked hard for abolitionist beliefs. He helped fund the Atlantic Monthly, and that was close to around 1857, if I'm correct. He helped, he created the Anti-Slavery Liberation Party, which, though it did not last very long, it still, he just kept up with what he believed. A slave named Frederick Douglass wrote with his life biography that he believed Whittier was a slave's poet. He was the slave's poet. Whittier would write famous poems like Barbara Fletcher, Frecci. I'm not able to pronounce the name. I've tried many times. That talks about a slave woman trying to feel the essence of freedom. How she doesn't like how it's pretty moving. Besides that, he tried to get into politics. He failed running for legislative places. He failed running for Senate representative, but he was a Whig for 1 year for the Massachusetts legislature. The man was mobbed and stoned. 1 year and he got mobbed and stoned. He moved forward. And as I said, he formed the Anti-Slavery Liberation Party and the Atlantic Monthly, both reform and abolitionist parties. And he just kept up what he believed in until 1865, when the Civil War was over and what he believed in succeeded. From there, he switched from abolitionist to poet first. And he focused on the remembrance of the rural New England of old, how unity and community is all essential, and how not one person is basically trash. This can be found in his 1866 poem, Snowbound, A Winter Idle. This sold over 20,000 copies, and it talks about how the unity within a family surrounded around the fire while in just a snow wasteland, basically. A snowstorm so bad that no one could go outside, that they had to wait it out. So it's pretty inspirational, and it was to help people move forward past all this war, all this strife that's been happening for the past 5 years, all this death. He tries to get the value of just love in each of his poems since. And so, he's just a man not of hate, and that does dwell within his Quaker religion. He tries to bring a community together, and he just tries to emphasize a union between those who may not be known. I love this part about him. During his 70th birthday, he had 6 to 8 fireside poets attend, including Brahms, Home, and Longfellow. So Whittier did leave a great impression on the new generation, and I just believe that his impression, his existence during this time just stood out a bit longer than the others. So his journey and beliefs, I think that he lived them out to a further extent than those, with starting from the bottom basically compared to others who were rich, who had the accessibility to go to these high standard colleges, universities. He didn't let that stop him. He kept moving forward, and till death, he left a strong impression of unity. So that's why I believe John Greenleaf Whittier is the best of the fireside poets, the greatest.